What's up, guys, and welcome to Dating Intelligence, the podcast, where we give relationship advice from dating to marriage and everything else in between, and always with the goal of helping you to continuously be the best you at all times.
So if you're looking for real life and honest information to help you navigate your relationship, we've got you covered.
We'll get you covered. Hello, guys. Damn, you look hot today. What's going on?
I got it right.
Yeah. I mean, you just look right. What's going on?
Look at you in your vest.
I'm trying to be boss compared to you. I'm trying to get the attention more my way than yours.
Well, I feel like we have like a really hot guest, so I felt
definitely
like
do one of those. So
like maybe I should get a little like professional. So I put the hair up and.
It's a competition out here all the time. I'm telling you, every time we're on this show. So, all right. Well, we are at the Sticky Paw Studios once again in Las Vegas, Nevada. Welcome. I'm so happy to be back. Yes.
It's Nevada.
Nevada?
Yeah.
I've always pronounced everything. I'm a proper child.
I'm born and raised here. It's kind of like a little pet peeve.
Yeah, but okay, Nevada.
Yeah,
Did I say it right?
Yeah, wait.
Okay.
Are you born and raised here?
No, I'm from Cali.
Oh, okay.
See, so would you say Nevada or Nevada?
Nevada.
Damn.
What about you, Travis?
I would definitely say Nevada.
Nevada.
It is a pet peeve of ours
Wait,
as
Travis has a
Nevadians.
camera.
I have a camera.
Born and raised. What?
Holy shit, Travis has a camera now.
I know. I love it. Now,
this is awesome.
Now everyone can see you, Travis.
That's true. In my full glory. Look
That's
at me.
super smart. All right, well,
I love it.
before we start, I want to tell you about my missing. I was supposed to be your guys last night, but as always with the situation of COVID or whatever the fuck's going on, Omicron.
Omicron. I can't even pronounce it.
It sounds like a transformer name or something, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, 2,000 something flights were canceled. So my flight to Vegas was still going on from Los Angeles, but I get there at 6. And why does it always happen when you get there that they decide to change the flight time? So now instead of leaving at 8, which I was there on time, is now leaving at 9:30.
What airline?
Delta. Yeah.
My favorite airline.
Right. So here's the thing. So I go, oh, well, but they moved me from Terminal 2, gate number 23, to gate number 133. I was like, is there a 130-something gate? Which means I had to take a shuttle, go through the whole, like the whole airport tarmac shit, and then go to the international airport part. When I finally get there, I'm like, okay, this is like whatever. The flight changed again to 11 p.m.
Oh, hell
So I
no.
decided what you just said, oh, hell no, I'm going home. And I walked right out and went back home. So
and
I came in
said,
today.
when you texted me, I said, fuck yeah, I'm going to bed.
All right, cool. Then it all worked out. Yeah. All right, what have you been up to?
Here you are. Nothing. I'm just, excited for, this year. We have SHOT Show coming up, so I'm really excited for that.
Okay.
And then a little bit of travel. So
Nice.
We're planning out Exuma, guys. So hopefully we'll be taking our show on the road in the next month or two.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing a couple live episodes from the Bahamas.
Okay. All right. More time together. I like spending time with my co-host. She's amazing, and it's been going great. So.
And then how was the eating around the holidays for you? Sir?
Well, non-existent really, because you feel like, do you ever do this? We'll get you. Well, actually, can we just get her in and then we'll figure this out?
Let's introduce our guest.
Okay, so all right, I have this amazing intro for you, by the way, guest. So I'm not going to give away too much. Let's see. I've written it out. All right, so this super sexy guest finds the time to model when she's not working crazy hours at her day job as a licensed therapist and life coach. She takes her job very seriously when it comes to helping others manage their own personal issues and creating balance in their lives. I mean, I feel like we all need someone in our corner who can encourage us all the time on matters having to do with our careers and personal challenges. Please welcome the gorgeous Jamie Lynn to the show.
Oh, you guys.
What's up, sweetie?
That was like the best intro ever.
Is
like
right?
Years.
Oh my God. I'm getting better at this.
Feelings.
Oh, she's
so good
glowing
at
over
that.
there.
Thank you.
I'm digging that smile. She's glowing right now.
It's the lipstick.
I love the red lips, by the way.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Okay, so we're going to ask you then she asked me on the holidays with the eating thing, and I always feel like that I'm going to eat the shit out of everything.
Yeah.
But then when it comes down to it, I'm running around. Everybody else is fattening up and doing their thing, and I'm just running around. Are you okay? Do you need this? Do you need that? Because we had a full house, and so I probably ate like some cheese, a little piece of ham, some vegetables that they had, and that was really it. No dessert. I missed everything.
What?
Because it was like midnight by then, and then I was like, I'm ready to go to bed. I was tired. So nothing. What about you?
Bad.
Yeah?
As I eat my Twizzler.
All right, and Jamie, what about you?
So much dessert. It was freaking ridiculous.
A ton.
A lot. People brought me a lot of fucking bread, but I loved it.
Right.
Charlie, Slade, banana nut bread.
I love that stuff. Yeah, I miss out all the time. Even Thanksgiving was kind of shallow this year for me. I didn't have much of anything, so.
So I'm going to get back on the grind tomorrow.
So speaking of grind, tell them about your coffee bean experience with me today. We're going to the drive-through.
So today, I decided I'm gonna eat healthy today because I've been eating like shit. And you know when you're not, your body's just not used to eating that way.
It'll reject it.
Yeah. So I'm feeling like crummy and sick. Today I'm gonna eat healthy. Stressful morning. I'm such a piece of shit. My partner in crime, I didn't even pick him up from the airport because I got stuck in a surgery. So he has to Uber to my house. So by the time he gets to my house, I'm looking at him like with my puppy dog eyes, like, I'm so sorry I didn't pick you up.
I was totally fine with it. I was in a funk as well, by the way. So we were both kind of funky.
So I was like, I'm going to go shower and get my shit together and then we'll head out and we'll stop at Coffee Bean. So I was going to do just, like a sugar-free drink, get my happy on and come here. They're out of my drink, so I'm fucking pissed. So I'm like, I order something. She's, no, we don't have that. And I look at him and he's like, just do an Earl Grey. Do an Earl Grey,
But that's after her
sugar-free.
fourth trying to order something. They were out of everything she wanted.
Let's just do the Earl Grey, sugar-free, almond milk. Okay. And then I said, and you know what? Just give me a fucking cheese Danish too. She's like, what?
Valid.
And I go,
Yeah.
do you have a cheese Danish? And she goes, do you want it warm? And I said, yes, I do. And I fucking hightailed it up to the window. I'm like, this girl's probably like, I'm so fucking confused. She just wanted sugar-free everything, and then she fucking orders a cheese Danish.
Overdose.
That's the breaking
Like,
point.
what the fuck?
But the best line for me is when she's driving from the drive-through audio to like the window, and she's like, "Don't fucking judge me, bitch!" Like that.
Because I know she's like,
She's talking to herself.
wait a minute. She just tried to order 4
Right.
fucking sugar-free drinks. They all failed. I get her a sugar-free drink, and then she orders the cheese Danish. And then when I get here and open my cheese Danish, it's not even a fucking cheese Danish.
What was it?
I don't know.
I don't know what it was.
It was
Yeah.
some sugary something, but guess what? I fucking ate it, whatever it
good?
was. Yeah, it was really good.
Okay.
It was really good. And now I'm just snacking away on Twizzlers.
Yeah,
Thank you, Tony.
And apparently, by the looks of you actually work out really hard and stuff as well.
Yes.
So what are you
I do.
up to?
Fitness is super important to me. I just started 75 hard, actually. Did it right before the holidays.
Wow.
So the timing was just ridiculous, right?
Wow. So you started before Christmas.
I did.
That keeps you on a good level.
I tell you, like day 2, I go into my office, right? And there's and I'm a chocoholic. Okay. I love chocolate. And I had these chocolate cookies, fudge brownies on my desk, all nice and beautiful. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me right now. And I was like, I could just have one bite. I could just have
And you
one.
have to
Like
start
nobody
all
would.
over.
I know. And I was like, so I threw it away.
Wait, but how many days in though? How many days?
So
into
that
your
was my
workout?
second day in. It was
Okay.
like day 2. And I was like, man, like I picked the worst time. But at the same time, I try to have this kind of like mindset about it. I was like, you know what? If I can get through this and New Year's, the rest of this is going to be a breeze.
Yeah.
Well, especially
Yeah.
on day 2, because anybody at the I'll
Yeah.
just start again tomorrow. You're only 2 days
Well,
in.
not only that, and this might be TMI, but whatever. I just started my period too.
Okay, all
so
right.
it was just like
Yeah.
it was the worst, And I was like, all you want is chocolate.
Yeah, that monster
Yeah.
comes
I have
out.
a
Just give
chocolate
me.
addiction, and I was like, all right, well, you know what? I'm gonna like take this as a challenge. I'm gonna overcome it, or I'm just gonna crash and burn. It's gonna be one or the other.
And honestly, like second day in, I feel like
Yeah.
most people would be like, fuck it, I'll start tomorrow.
Right. Well,
So
that's
I'm doing it. I'm doing it with my boyfriend. It was like his idea, honestly, and so I was like, I can be off. I was like, I want to
That's
celebrate at the same
Oh,
time.
I love that.
Yeah, so it was kind of something that he really wanted to do, and I just kind of like I didn't want to get left behind, so I just kind of
Like, can you
went
imagine
with
if
it.
you went home, honey? I failed.
That would be the worst.
It's expected though, almost to a point around that time, and you're just waiting for that person to go, okay, what'd
So
you do?
the percentage of people that actually
Yeah.
finish 75 hard
Yeah.
is like slim to none.
Yeah, it's tough. Like it really is. Like last night, like getting in that second, I think for me, the biggest challenges have been, it's not so much eating healthy or the workouts, getting the second workout in.
Yes.
And then it's the water.
Okay.
You have to drink a
Oh,
gallon of water.
It's so good for you, though.
Do you know how much I have to pee?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I see clients back to back. So I'm like, oh my God, I got to time this just right. You know?
Do you portion, like, do you specifically because of that have like now at a point now, it's okay, I'll drink 2 now, da 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 da.
Yes. So now I have a system that I've developed. So I drink like 2 in the morning, and I find that warm water with lemon works better for me. Like if I just do like bottled water like this, it's hard for me to like choke it down sometimes. So warm water with lemon. So I'll do like 2 in the morning. So usually by like 9, I've already had 2. I try to be done by 7 p.m. so I'm not up all night peeing.
Oh, that's great.
So I started it last year.
Yeah.
I only did 30 days because of my travel schedule, because some days I'm traveling for like 16 hours.
Yeah.
So I couldn't do the workout. So I kind of modified. And Andy's like, "Are you doing 75 hard?" And I'm like, "No, I'm doing my own version." But the guy I was seeing at the time, he did 75 hard. So I kind of matched it. Joe.
Okay.
So I kind of matched it. And the water, I'd have to be done with the water by 4.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm up a few times at night to go to the bathroom.
Wow.
And it was so irritating. I'm like, can I just make it through a night without having to pee? So you develop, like she said, you have to develop your system.
Yeah. I mean, I'm only a weekend, so there's still some things that I might like want to tweak, but I'm like, I definitely need to be done by 7. That works best. And then, trying to like time it. Like I try to have like 1 water per client. And usually by the time I'm done with work, then I'll be done with my water. So
Is your schedule set for you to do that? Or is it like, like for instance, like it's a hard stop at 5, or does it go over and you're sometimes behind?
well, luckily I make my own schedule. So
Okay.
I have that kind of flexibility to go as early or late as I want. But I do have certain times that I schedule clients. If somebody reaches out to me, I try to be flexible if something comes up. But for the most part, I'm done by 5.
Okay. And I'm going to backtrack now, because now that we're talking about clients and stuff. So how did you get into being a therapist? Like, how did it start for you?
Oh, man. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But I did. It's kind of a weird story, actually. Like I had to do an iSearch paper in high school. And basically that's like a career search paper, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had no idea. And I looked at the girl in front of me and she had psychologists. And I was like, oh, well, that sounds good. I'll pick that. And so I was like, okay. But I actually did the research for the paper. And I was like, I think I might like this.
Nice. Thank God it wasn't Dumpster Diver.
Oh my God.
Just write anything.
And I stuck with it, and I ended up kind of liking it, and I just kind of naturally gravitated towards professions like that, or honestly, like they just kind of found me.
That's great.
Yeah.
And you stuck with it.
I really did. It's definitely, I ventured out. I do like different things besides that. I have like different side hustles and stuff like that, interests that, I pursue.
Like makeup, right? You
I
do
do.
makeup?
Yeah. That was a whole other story how I got into that. But yeah. Yeah, so it's good to have, options and be versatile, and you never want to be like pigeonholed.
Yeah,
so.
I hear
Yeah,
you.
I agree. I agree. And
Yeah.
I like what she said. She said that it found her.
Yeah.
So I feel like with a lot of the things that I've done, it's the same thing. It kind of presented itself to me, and then I took it and ran.
That's
I
great.
think when you have like a calling or gift or a purpose, I think it really will find you if you're living authentically, right? If you're living authentically, and I think and you have good intentions, right? Like I think that those things will just really fall in your lap. Like you don't have to really work for it. Like you need to be prepared for it,
Right, correct.
Right.
but you don't have to like work for it.
I like
you know?
that. I really
Yeah.
like what you just said, because that's how, once again, like how you said, I live my life by that as well. And it's one of those things where if something appears, I always have to sleep on it. And if I
Yeah.
dream about it, I go, oh, it's good to go. I've never feel like I
that's
need to be
confirmation.
forced into doing something when you're not really sure. I need to be sure. And when that's exactly right. So
Yeah.
I appreciate
and
that.
a good way that men specifically get clarity is through peace. Women different love needs, but men typically get guided by a feeling of peace, and that's typically like how they get confirmation about things.
And what about women?
Women is safety every single time. Yeah, it's
Oh.
safety. If a woman feels safe, right, that's typically, because women can be more hypervigilant for many different reasons, right? But if women feel safe around a person, that's a really good sign.
So how does that work for then, like, let's say, and by the way, expand on the safety thing.
Yes,
So let's say
please.
a woman wants to do, like, be an entrepreneur or whatever.
Sure.
That's a lot of risk. It's a lot of heartache and headache and everything else, and that's definitely not safe at all. So what type? How does that spin? How do they? Once again, does that make sense? If there's not much safety in that situation,
well, because I guess there's different I guess that for me, I was talking more relationally,
That's
like
what I
in
wanna know. Yeah.
relationships, not necessarily in a professional stance. Look, in any relationship, professional or personal, you're going to incur a certain amount of risk. But the risk that you feel like, look, I could be doing a dangerous activity and still feel a certain level of safety depending on who I'm with.
Good point.
Okay. And so look, and the safety that here's an example. You might still feel safe with a colleague, but that safety is going to be different than maybe with your mom.
Yeah.
Right. So like it's kind of like, and here's another thing that women are really good at, knowing and their intuition. And there's no way that I could really kind of like logically explain that to people, but women know. Women know if somebody's safe. Animals know if somebody's safe, you know?
Right.
And so it's kind of tapping into that sense of knowing who you are and knowing like your environment and knowing what, like you're going to be able to pick it up if you're dialed in.
Right.
You know, so I don't know if that kind of explains it, but I think women just tapping into their intuition is going to give them that direction as far as what's safe and what's not.
Okay. I like that. Wow.
Do you feel safe with Jamie?
I feel,
I'm just wondering.
I do.
Do you?
Yeah. I have a Jamie as well. There's 3 Jamies in this whole
Oh, okay.
conversation.
Hey, hi.
I feel safe with you right about now too, and you can stay by me anytime right now. I'm telling you. So I'm like, yeah. But I do feel safe with her.
Yeah.
I feel that as time goes on with any relationship, as we all know, it's just one of those things where it takes time to grow into who you are in order to actually be comfortable with yourself.
Yes.
In order to be safe, I feel like a lot of times because.
So I feel like that. I feel it's interesting that you say that, because in my last relationship, that was the one thing that connected us right away. It was like it's a feeling. I was like
it's a knowing.
right when we connected, I was like, ooh, this just feels right. I feel super safe.
I love that you're using those words, connection and feeling, because most people make decisions from an analytical mind, right? Most people do though, okay? And we're analyzing and we're trying to figure it out, like deductive reasoning, what's this with this? And your superpower, especially as a woman, is tapping into that knowing. It's like, how does this actually feel? And there's a lot of things that can cloud that, though, for anybody, and that's a lack of healing mainly.
Okay.
You know, but if you've done like a lot of work, you know, if you're more self-actualized, which it sounds like both of you guys obviously are, because you're using that kind of like lingo, right? You know, you're going to be able to pick up on that stuff and read it better than most.
Right. Because like you said, a lot of people, they're just, once that analytical mind comes in, you're missing so much shit.
When I start
You are,
analyzing, I feel like I start losing every time.
You will.
She's analyzing right now on her new, like, well, can we say you're single?
Yeah.
And so she's been on a few dates and she told me, I'm like,
Oh,
why are you
girl.
analyzing
Yeah.
everything? She goes, I know. Is that bad of me? And I go, you're going to miss out on stuff.
I feel like I do feel like I'm very, very intuitive. So if someone had tried to match me with my last person, I would have been like, there's no way. But when we had like time alone to like just kind of like chat, it was an immediate connection that I can't explain, except for you said it perfectly. It was like we talked about stuff that you don't normally talk about, and it's because the walls came down and I felt like a sense of safety. So but I still feel like I have, you know, some like non-negotiables, and, you know, things arose as we went on. So I had to decide whether it was going to work for me or not. And I decided, no,
Right.
but I'm okay with it. But I will tell you, people in general self-destruct. And the number one way to do that is by analyzing everything instead of like giving it to God or just letting it be and letting things unfold. But it comes to a point in time where you're like, okay, I have to make a decision.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, and you know, look, most people aren't going to be for you, and that's something that people don't want to talk about. And most people are married to the wrong person. They just are. You know, I'm divorced as well, so I've married the wrong person. You know, so like it's very common to make relationship mistakes, and it's also okay to make mistakes in relationships. You know, I think we choose the best with the information that we have.
Right.
And as we grow, as we evolve, sometimes our non-negotiables change, or we add to that, or we change that. And then some people don't.
Right.
Or we outgrow certain people, right? We have to be able to give ourselves room and that flexibility to kind of say like, yeah, like this, you know what, you could be a great person and we can have an amazing connection and you can still not be for me. Those things are all okay.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's just some people take a little bit longer, I guess, to like
Yeah.
figure that out.
Right. Well,
And I feel like a lot of people, I've seen people get lazy too, and they just don't, they get comfortable and they're afraid to make the change.
I would say
So
that
it's
that's
easier to stay.
I would say that that's probably the main reason. Look, I think women know really quickly whether this is for you or not. They know really, really quickly. However, what happens is that analytical mind comes. They're picking from a place of scarcity, like age for women is a thing. Like these things do affect how women choose, and men have different things that they do. But you know, I think. You have. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? I do this all the time.
Like women, you said women know, so they're pretty
Right.
quick.
I think that they know. I think that they know right away. But there are certain things that come up for them that make them entertain people they shouldn't.
Right.
It's their level of engagement. Like I was working with a client today. She's doing it. Same example. I said, tell me right now, if you had all the time in the world, if you had right? If you would tolerate this kind of behavior. And she said, no. I said, why are you doing it now? Like she already knows that this person is not for her. He's behaving in a way that she doesn't like. But what she did is she rationalized, she justified, and she minimized behavior she didn't like. And the reason she did that is because she's scared.
Right.
She's scared that she won't have an attraction with another man. She's scared she won't have familiarity or, all these other things. And I'm like, I told her, I said, look, that's available to you. That just because he has those things doesn't mean that nobody else does. I was like, let that be an encouragement. Like reframe that for yourself. And then you've got to have faith.
Yeah.
You have to have faith. Anything good worth having is going to require you to let go of things
Right.
that don't serve you in order to make room for the thing that will.
Right.
And
she needs to do the work after that if she does do it, which is not
exactly.
easy, like you said. And because
Exactly.
it's
But
very
she
scary.
would open herself up to something so much.
I know. And intuitively, she knows that.
Right.
And we were able to have a dialogue about, okay, like, I was like, look, like, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to leave this guy or end it with him. But we do need to have an honest conversation about what your brain is doing and why you're staying in something that doesn't serve you. And this is why women waste time.
That's what
They know.
I was gonna say. I was like, I
They
wonder,
know.
do you call it? Are they wasting time?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Like, that might be a harsh way to put it, but yeah, I
No,
do
I
think.
agree
yeah.
with you. I think it's a waste of time.
I do, because look, like
Like, what are you
if
waiting for?
Exactly, like if you know, like she already
fear.
knows, but she's scared, and I understand that. I'm super empathetic to that. It's a really hard thing to do, but what's the alternative? You already have
Yeah.
an answer for the alternative. Is that going to work for you?
And she's going to stay miserable, which unfortunately, like you said, a lot of people do that.
A lot of people do, because a lot of people like what's familiar.
Right. Yeah. I agree
Because
with that.
yeah,
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
just keep going down that rabbit hole, though. I tell you, it's like
yeah.
because it's like you just like, and especially when she knows it, like you said, and then she's not getting out of it. And my thing, well, you're a therapist, I don't have to deal with that. But my thing is, once I hear it over and over, I'm like, I can't help you anymore. I'm sorry, I cannot
you
hear this
ever-
anymore.
say that to.
I have never.
Have you fired one of your?
I have fired. I have. Yeah, I have fired. I have fired probably more than a few, but
Like, have you just been like, I can't fucking help you?
Like I've
I'm
told you
sorry.
1,000 times, and you're still doing the same shit.
I think I have a good way of kind of putting things where it doesn't really usually get to that point, because I can catch when somebody's not taking ownership really early on.
Okay.
And here's the thing: I'm not responsible for their healing. I don't ever take credit for that. I'm a catalyst. I can help. I can give you the information, but you're the one that's going to do the work, and I know that.
Okay.
I only see myself as as a guide, and I just try to serve people the best that I can. But ultimately, their life is their responsibility. It's not mine. I'm not responsible for managing their emotions. They are.
Right.
I'm not responsible for healing their life. They are.
Well, the
You
good
know?
news is they actually.
Do you feel like you provide the tools to help them?
I do
get there?
100%.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I love that.
But here's what I tell my clients. I was like, you can pick it up or put it down.
Right.
Like sometimes, and I had this conversation earlier this week. I was like, look, I go, you have everything that you need to be successful. I said, but what are you going to do with it? Because
Wow.
it's not on me.
Do you ever feel like, because I was going to say the first part of that is that, first of all, they're actually showing up to get the work done or
Right.
try to at least get some help.
Right.
Do you feel like some people, when they come in, though, are just like, like my friend said, come in and I don't know why I'm here, but I know I need help, because they can read
Yeah.
all the signs of what's going on with them.
Yeah.
But then they come in, they have no clue what's really, in theory, they don't know what's really wrong with them because they're
Right.
avoiding it. Do
Right.
you get a lot of that as well?
I don't typically take clients like that.
Okay.
Most people kind of do seek me out just because what I specialize in
Okay.
now. So I don't get too much of that anymore. But when I did, I have a very no bullshit approach, and that's not always very popular, but it works really well. And like if I had somebody come into my office is like, I don't know why I'm here. I was like, well, I don't know why you're here. That's really what I would say to them. And I was like, well, what? Well, I don't even want to be here. And I was like, okay, well, you can leave.
Right.
I will
Yeah.
literally say that to them.
Right.
Because
You're like, I'm not going to try to get it out of you.
I'm not trying to do, there's a golden rule in therapy, and it's called never work harder than your client. And I don't.
That's great.
I mean, that's such a great.
So all those movies are a lie. Those people come in, they're sitting in front of and just they're like, why are you here? I don't know.
I don't know.
And then they start asking questions, trying to get shit out of
Look,
them.
you look in the very beginning, right? Like if I had somebody that was just from the jump, I don't know why I'm here. I don't want to be here. Somebody's making me come. I might feel it out. I'll feel it out a little
Okay.
bit just to
Yeah.
kind of get a sense. But if I'm feeling a certain way about it, I'm not gonna make you stay. I'll just say, well, I was like, okay, well, you can leave.
Has
That's
anyone
okay.
ever said, well, no, you don't take many people away, but I want to know if sometimes if someone goes, well, no, I really need something and da da da.
Yeah, because most people, when you get that kind of a thing, it's more of an attention-seeking behavior.
Okay.
And usually they're trying to elicit a care response. That's what I refer to it as.
Okay.
What is it?
I think that they're trying to elicit a care response. It's attention-seeking behavior oftentimes. There are those people that come in that really don't want to be there, and that's fine. But then there are people that will say that and really do want to be there, but they want you to love them and nurture them and coddle them and be like, no, I'm here to help you. And
That's
to
exhausting.
Exactly.
I'd be annoyed.
Oh, yeah. That's why I don't really, I don't really kind of take that kind of clientele
Gravitate
if I
towards,
see it.
yeah.
It just doesn't vibe with me,
Right.
which is fine. Like that vibes with other people. If they want to work with that, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's not really like what I typically like to do or what my strength is in. Cause
Right.
With
those types like that come in and do that,
Yeah.
that need the attention, the coddling, or do you feel like that's the issue with the relationship, that they're more passive aggressive than in theory?
I think that's certainly part of the problem because it is a form of passive aggression. You're right. They're not really communicating directly about what their needs are. There's also probably a lack of awareness about what is really going on with them too, and a lack of healing, right? Because this is what they have to do to get their needs met.
Right. Man.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always say, even to my kids, I'm not responsible for your happiness.
Yeah.
You have to get there on your own.
Like you said, you can guide them.
Yeah.
Whatever they want to ask
I'll
you,
aid
can
you
guide them.
in your
Yeah.
journey.
Right.
I'll present certain things to you, but don't put that shit on me. I love you and I always want to see them succeed,
Right.
but I feel like at some point you have to take responsibility for yourself and your feelings and what's going on. We can talk about it, but I'm not responsible.
Absolutely. And it's important to
So-
have those kinds of boundaries just in relationships in general. We have to have that. Like, how many times have you guys been in situations where people have tried to dump on you and put their problems on you, right? And then sometimes being empathetic people, which, I can feel that you guys are, you feel that, you take that on. And then you kind of have to detox yourself or even withdraw, right?
I get home and
To
have
get
to
back in
stage my
balance.
whole
Girl, I know. I'm
being.
telling you.
I feel like you probably have to do that every day.
You know-
so you don't
She
bring
burns
it
a lot of
home.
clothes, I'm sure.
Man,
It's
I'm- I don't know if it's part of where I am just in my own life or walk, and my own faith, but I don't have to do that so much anymore. There's I used to, and there are certain people in my life that I've had to cut out, even you know, my own family, because of things like that. But yeah, like you can, it's easy to take that on, but I don't know, for some reason I've just gotten really good at like turning it off.
Okay. Well, that's what I was getting at earlier when you were talking about this, on how, you know, I'll listen all day long, but when you, if I give you, not that my job's to give you advice, but if I try to guide you in a way and say, well, this is the reasons why this person's doing that, why you feel that way, and then they don't take it to heart, and the next time I get the same story back, I go, you're not listening, and there's no need to talk about this anymore. I go, if you can't pick up your own signals, and you know, once again, like you said, they're all like, I know that about me, and they're like, well, then do something.
Well, here's the thing though, like, see, you're operating like that's your own projection actually, because you're operating under the assumption that they actually want to change. See, here's the other part of that.
I like that.
Yeah. So here's the other part of that. If somebody keeps coming up with the same problem, right, and you keep giving them the same advice, it's serving them. Okay, they're engaged in that behavior because they're actually getting something out of that, right? And
hear
that's
that, people?
usually
I ain't
not
your
being
butler.
addressed.
I am not your butler. All right, go find your own shit. Okay, sorry. Go right ahead, Jamie.
Now I'm like, what was I saying? All I've got is that in my head now.
Yeah, you're just saying that he is projecting that they actually.
Yeah, look, the truth is that not everybody's trying to hear you, and not everybody's trying to understand you, and some people just have agendas. I'm not saying that's good, bad, right, or wrong, but it's the truth, right? So like sometimes when people are asking advice, they're really not wanting advice because they're wanting to change. Like how many times have we been in an argument, right? And we keep saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, right? And we keep having it and there's never any change. It's because that person isn't trying to work with you. They're not trying to hear you a lot of times.
Okay.
And you know, sometimes there's a learning curve, right? And that can happen, but we make the assumption a lot of times that people are trying to understand us. Some people are just trying to push an agenda.
Ooh, I don't like to think of it like that.
Yeah, but
though.
Well,
so
you
right.
don't,
I
because
always
that's the projection though.
Right.
That's
Okay.
because
And they don't
look,
even know that. Which is crazy.
some do and
Okay,
some
yeah,
don't.
well,
That's a whole
all right.
other
I want to
thing.
believe that they don't.
But that's your projection, and I'll tell you why. Look, you guys are empathetic people, clearly, right? Which means you can kind of pick up on the emotions of other people.
Yes.
You can really feel when somebody's going through something, easily moved, right? That's not normal, just so you know, but it's normal for you. Okay. So an empathetic person will do things like this. Well, if I'm loyal and trustworthy, well, this person will be loyal and trustworthy. Well, if I'm trying to be open and understanding in a conversation, well, then this person will be open.
I want to believe that. I know it's not the case.
Right.
But I always want to believe that.
Yeah.
That's okay. I want to believe it too.
But you're right, but it's not the reality of the situation.
It's not always and I'm not a cynical person by any means. I'm not, but I think like we need to be informed about what's out there. I'm a highly empathic person, but I think I manage it in a way that's really weird and different than a lot of other empaths. You know, you have to be aware. You have to know who your audience is if you're an empath, and you have to know how to manage your own emotions so that other people's aren't affecting yours. That's like an empath, quite frankly, has to know how to arm themselves. Otherwise, the world is going to destroy an empath.
Wow.
So what have you done to protect yourself?
Well, I would say the biggest thing that I've done is I've cut out relationships that don't serve me or that are toxic. Okay. And I set really good boundaries. Nice. And I'm a very direct communicator. Mm-hmm. I say, like, I had somebody give me this advice one time. It was a pastor of mine. And I was like, that was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And I've always been like on a bit of a high horse when I talk sometimes and been like, well, I just tell the truth and I just tell people like it is. And I've been like ruthless about it at times. Right. And my pastor came up to me one day and he's like, you know, Jamie, you could say the truth all day long, but if you do it without love, you're just an asshole. And I was like, fuck.
Like, damn.
I was like, that was fucking 100% accurate. Also, I really need to work on this, so thank you. And I really have, but I still say things that can be very cutthroat, but I do say it with love, and I think that's the balance that has really helped me in being an empathic person. I can cut out relationships in a very loving way and still maintain that boundary if I need to. And then sometimes I might have like more of a permeable boundary where I'm like, kind of testing the waters to see if there's been change or healing. And, if there isn't, I'm out.
It's like a fish, like throwing the fishing line. Really.
Yeah, you kind of
that's
swim,
great.
see, like,
Yeah.
are you still the same? Yep, okay.
Yeah, but you know that and you're aware of it. That's the thing though. But that's on your terms and you're just testing, which is totally okay because you're aware of that fact. Where most people, if they're testing, they have no idea. They're just diving in and the water could be like 2 feet deep and they're gonna hit their head at the bottom.
Right.
So it's like it's a different thing.
Yeah.
I
That
agree with
awareness
that.
is so important,
Yeah.
right? Self-awareness is important.
Right. I feel like I'm
I
self-aware.
I have one family member, maybe two, that I haven't cut off. Well, one I cut off completely, but he's kind of back around, my brother. And then the other one I have to limit
Yeah.
because the energy is just so freaking draining.
Right.
Yeah. And that's a
So-
good sign. Like, that's a really good sign that, something is healthy or unhealthy is if you feel depleted energetically, right?
Like
We don't-
exhausted. Like I have to go
Exactly.
home and go to bed. I'm like, oh.
Exactly. Or if somebody, it takes all your attention, right? They need you all the
Yes.
time. That's a big one that I think can be like, that can kind of fly under the radar.
That's
But
my non-negotiable, I guess, for relationships.
Oh,
Someone
that's
needs all my
true. I
time.
can
Like
see-
I
I
literally
can
have
see
always
that.
said that I go, I need someone equal, but when they start like needing more of my attention and stuff like I can't. I cannot do that.
Yeah, I
it's
feel
just
like
too
you
much.
need your me time for sure.
Because I give so much that it's
Yes.
just like when it's my time, I can't anymore.
Well, you have to recharge,
Right,
right?
yeah.
Empathic
Yeah.
people have to do that because there's such an energetic exchange with empaths, right? Where you'll give, but that's the part where I try to talk to empathic people about knowing how to manage it, right? Because if you do not know how to dial that back, if you do not know, look, you don't ever have to change what being an empath is, but not everybody gets that. And that's really hard for an empath.
Interesting.
What if someone says, like, you're in a relationship and they're like, I'm trying to do this. And they keep saying that they're trying.
That like they're trying to create a change.
Yeah, they're trying to make something happen. They're doing the best they can. Do you think it's a good thing to give them a timeline?
Well, what I would typically do, I would personally have to fill it out. I'll tell you
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Because again, there's a way to know something and then analyze something,
Yeah,
right? And I'm
right.
going to connect to what I feel and what that truth is first. So that's going to be number one for me. I would say as a general rule for people, yeah, I probably would have an invisible timeline. I would know the timeline and I wouldn't communicate that to who my person is.
Okay.
I would have a timeline of when I would want to see that change and I would measure that myself. Right? Because when you're in toxic or abusive relationships, there is a part of the cycle of abuse where people will say and do whatever it takes to get you back into the relationship. And so you can see change or trying during that phase,
Right.
but it's not real change. It's just a part of the abuse cycle, right?
I like that. So guys, so we have Jamie Lynn on our show and we're going to jump in this right now. So we're talking about, she's awesome right now. Thank you for being here, by the way, and beautiful as well. So this is our subject line that we're getting into. It's called toxic relationships. And so she's kind of touched upon that, which this
Yeah.
whole thing is about right now. And, it's basically a relationship characterized by behaviors on the part of the toxic partner that are emotionally and not infrequently physically damaging to their partner. So you started hinting upon that, but I feel like there's all these different versions of this that happen. And quite frankly, all of us have a little piece of toxicity in our
Sure.
relationship anyways, because
Yeah.
we all require or want something from, and it's a give and take. So, but it's just the amount, it's always a little bit of a hint of amount in all of us, but not a full blast, shitstorm all the time. Right. So
Well, like we all have something because, we live in an imperfect world and, we are all hurt people. We have all been through something in this life. And so, and that's why healing is so important. And that's such a big focus on like what I do, because when we don't heal, we're operating from that place of pain and we are more likely to hurt other people. When you're engaged in relationships in general, there is going to be hurt. There is going to be risk. There will be mistakes. That is not the same as somebody being abusive. And it's not necessarily the same thing as something being a relationship being unhealthy. And I think something that people should pay attention to is a pattern of behavior versus a moment.
Right. Yeah.
Right. This is a big thing that I think people need to, kind of figure out. Like if I've got somebody that's like, okay, like, somebody did A, B, C, D, but 90% of the time they're great and they're invested, but they had like a slip up. Like we have to kind of weigh that.
Right.
Like that would not be something that I would just completely write off. I would
Okay.
take the other behavior into account. Like how consistent has this person been? Like one of my girlfriends kind of, she kind of falls into that a lot of times where it's like, a guy can be really, really, really great. But like, let's say he forgets to text or call, or he has a period in time where he's just not available. Her pain, her trauma takes her back to her past. And that's
Okay.
very triggering. And then she gets reactive.
Okay. And then she takes that on in him. In theory, is that what you're saying? In that instance?
Yeah. Like, I mean, she becomes fearful, or she'll withdraw. Right. Or like, she could put a barrier between something that could really be good for her.
Okay.
And so sometimes that prevents you from actually engaging or being open to a positive relationship because you're viewing something through an unhealed lens, right?
Right.
And then, like maybe that behavior's not okay, but is it really a toxic person, or are they just kind of having like a, that they just fuck up?
Right. So how often does someone communicate that? Like in that situation, like for her, does she communicate to him and he's now has to be, okay, you know what? I'm sorry I didn't da da da.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it, and she is doing a really good job about being more direct in how she feels. I think a lot of women can kind of tiptoe around issues in relationships, and men do the same too. I tend to talk more heavily on women because it's mainly what I work with, so that's kind of like my lens and how I communicate mainly. But I think absolutely like. She's done a better job about being direct. And I'm a big believer that when there's any issue in a relationship, toxic, not toxic, whatever, if there's an issue in a relationship, just address it.
Yeah.
That's going to tell you a lot.
Yeah, but most people can't because they're afraid of the outcome or their perception of what it might be due to a past something or other.
Exactly.
Yeah, I had this thing with I have a 13-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old. So my 13-year-old has anxiety, and so last week, me being in sports a lot and stuff, we were at the volleyball courts, and like she froze up at one point because something made her anxious. So now all this good that she did just stopped, and I got in her face and was like, not in her face, but like, honey, you got to let this go, da 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 da. And I could see her nerves and this and that. And I said, you need to talk to me, communicate with me. What's going on now? If you're mad at me, just say, Dad, I'm mad at you. Communicate. I'm not, I don't want you just to hold it in, because if I'm really making you upset right now because of how you're feeling and your anxiety's kicking in, just let me know, Dad, my anxiety's kicking in. I need a moment. Communicate something to me. And if you're mad at me, just say, Dad, you know what? I don't like the way you're talking to me, whatever. I'm just trying to get her to communicate better so she doesn't perceive that the way I was talking to her as coming across mad or upset, more like, let's get over this, or let's get through this together. In other words,
I think that was really good modeling on your part. Do you think that you were anxious at all?
Of course I was. Her anxiety made me anxious. And
Right.
one of her first volleyball games, I was super anxious. I had to run out before the game started, and I called, my girlfriend, and started almost crying on the phone. I was like, I can't be here right now. I'm so stressed out right now.
So you're doing some co-regulation there. She's probably picking up on some of that energy. As you were talking, I could feel that energy coming from you. And I was like,
Oh, I
look.
could see it too.
Right. Like, so as you were saying that, I was like, oh, that's really interesting, because I could feel that energy coming from you.
Yeah.
Like her response actually created some anxiety for you. And that was part of how you were self-regulating.
Yeah. Right.
At the same, again, not good, bad, right, or wrong. It's just what we do, right? As people, we do the best we have with the information that we have. The second part of that was really great, right? You're modeling for her, how to communicate, and that helps reduce anxiety dramatically in children when they can communicate what they want and what their needs are. But the energetic exchange between you was not a match.
I have to, and
What
I'm going to
about
be
when
aware
children
of that.
can't, though? Do you work with children?
I do. Well, not so much anymore, but I do help parents with that kind of thing. So let's say I have a kid that is tantruming, right? Or let's say that they're nonverbal autistic or something like that. I will do something very similar, or guide parents to do something very similar, where I will help them identify the feeling, even if they can't verbalize it to me. I will let them know that they have been seen and that they've been heard. If they've been seen and if they've been heard, you're going to see that anxiety reduce.
Okay.
So
Well, what about like teenage girls that literally,
ones.
well, they don't know how to communicate, or they shut down and they don't want to.
So I would do the same thing because it doesn't have to be so complicated. So let's say you have a moody teen and they don't want to fucking talk to you.
Yeah, she doesn't want to talk about
That's
it.
okay. So I wouldn't push it. I would just say like, okay, like it looks like you're really upset right now and
Right.
you're wanting some space from me. And I just want you to know that, I would like to talk to you. I would like to know how you feel, but I can't, but I'm going to give you some space right now. And maybe we can revisit this in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just let it go and I would
Right.
give that space and I would touch back, but it's not something that I would force or try to control. Because
Yeah.
again, you can go into different avenues where that can,
Yeah.
a teen can kind of manipulate you with that and stuff like that.
I
so
just feel like, I always say, when you're ready, I'm here. It's always
Yeah.
an open door. Like I can't make you talk to me.
yeah.
But just know that I'm here.
That's great. Those are really good things. But the feeling is really important. The behavior, identifying the feeling and what they're doing, that's really important because that helps them feel seen and understood. So I can see that you're really upset right now. I can see that you don't want to talk to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Those things are really, really important because it's like, okay, good. Yeah, she
Good,
knows
I'm
I
on the
don't
right
like her.
page with that.
She knows I
Thank
don't
God.
like her, and it kind of gives them that little like, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, I don't want to talk to you.
I've
Yeah.
learned that all through this, with all through relationships as well. Where my current, girlfriend of 4 years now, and even with my ex-wife, we communicated as like from day one. I always said, look, if we ever are in a space or you feel something's off, whatever, let's talk it out. I can take it, which I know that you can take it as well. My current girlfriend of 4 years, she's even said that I've helped her become a better communicator because I said, look, I go,
I could
I
see
don't
that
want
with
you to.
you.
I go, if there's something you need to say, just tell me. I can take it. Let's figure it out. And so it's gotten better that way, and it's great that way. But I'm also laughing. One time, the only blow up I think we've ever had was over our dog, and I
Oh my
I
God.
went like 50 times off the chart, Jamie Lynn, because I
Yeah.
was up to my neck with it, and I just let it all out. And literally, like that night, I went to bed mad and slept on the couch, and so she's in the bed. The next morning, she got up, and she was to the point, like, if you ever do that again, she goes, I've never seen this side of you. And I go, I'm sorry, it was a one-off, and that's not my personality, but I think I just kept it all in. And
Yeah.
normally I let a lot of stuff out, but she just wasn't hearing that. And so it just turned into this big roar.
Yeah, it can really escalate. But see, that was a really good example of somebody having a moment versus somebody being toxic.
right.
Right?
Oh, I see that. Because I
and
feel
I've
like
never
that's
had a
out of-
moment with that ever. After
Yeah.
we decided
Right.
the dog's great, we're great, and
Yeah.
but it needed to come out,
Yeah.
and that one time, and it's never, we rarely fight over anything.
See,
but
that's a one-off, right?
yeah.
But like somebody can come into that and be like, oh, he got abusive, or he like obviously your behavior was not that way, so I don't want to label it as that what you
Right.
were doing at all. But like some people will try to miscategorize it when they see somebody having a one-off, and they will be like, oh, this person is terrible now, or they want to say like, now you're on the pedestal, now you're off the pedestal, you
Right.
know. And it's like, we can't really, like, we're fucking human beings, man. We're gonna have bad days.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing as somebody being toxic though, or like abusive.
right. Yeah, I don't think I could ever do that. That's the worst.
Okay, so I have a question for
Yeah.
you.
Go ahead.
Why are you laughing?
I just wanna
Okay,
know.
so we had an episode about like the holidays. Like I'm not a fan of like
Oh,
the
this is a good
holidays.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, what happened? Did you have a bad like Christmas as a child, or
Yeah.
like how do you not?"
Give her the full
and I'm
story,
like,
though. Like,
I'll let you give it to them.
so she basically has a tendency to break up with people around the holidays,
Okay.
Christmas or whatever, and she's
Yeah.
named the last
Well,
3
my
or 4.
friends say it's a pattern.
Okay.
They're like, "We're identifying a big pattern with
Okay.
you," and I'm like, "It's not a pattern." But then I look back and I'm like, "Ooh, maybe."
Yeah, because my
maybe
first thought
you're
was,
right.
so what? Something must have happened on Christmas that makes
But
you
nothing
feel this
happened
way
to me
that
on
you're avoiding.
Christmas that I can think of. Is that
Well,
odd?
tell me, what is your question?
Oh, so the question is, first
Why does she
of
break
all,
with
I
people
was
around the
labeled
holidays?
as
I go, why does she break up with people around the holidays?
yeah. I was
Okay.
labeled and it bothered me.
Okay.
Because I'm like, but then when I think back, I'm like, oh, maybe I
How
guess.
long? I mean, how long were you in like this relationship for? Had you guys been
Oh,
through
okay, so-
Christmases or holidays before?
Yeah. So
Okay.
when I was married, we broke up right before Christmas.
Okay.
Like Thanksgiving,
Okay.
Christmas. And then my last one, same thing. It was like in December. And then my recent one, yeah, in December.
So I mean,
Out of,
you
like, all
have,
4.
but you have had like How long was this last one? This last relationship?
year.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'd been through
Before
like
Christmas.
this was our second Christmas. Damn
Well,
you.
I mean, look, would there be like is that a pattern? Yeah, it could be a pattern. Like, I'm not going to, I don't know anything about this relationship, so I'm not going to like speculate on that and make like large leaps. That wouldn't be fair to you or, myself professionally. Being like, this is why.
Travis, can we stop the cameras right now and get Jamie's real answer? By the way?
Yeah, it's not rolling right now. This is just rehearsal. You can go ahead.
No,
Okay,
it's just except for us.
Okay, so yes, maybe you can say that's a pattern, but I don't really feel like it's a pattern.
Yeah.
I'm being honest that like Christmas and stuff, I'm just not an advocate of holidays in general, like anything that makes people feel like they have to give a gift or get a gift. I don't like the pressure. I don't like the social pressure of the holidays.
Well, I mean, that's fair enough. And a lot of people don't. It makes people uncomfortable. But, I think holidays are typically very symbolic of, spending that with people that are extremely important to you. The word intimacy keeps coming to mind right now. I don't know why, but this is just kind of like I'm vibing on that word right now. And so I don't want to like go off on this like tangent or whatever, but
It's okay.
I think there could be perhaps like a protective layer, right? Where it's kind of like there's a knowing that this is like there's been a decision that you've made, and maybe for whatever reasons the holidays can highlight that, where it's kind of like, all right, like this is the kind of time where we're gonna be like maybe marrying more, like in intermixing more, like there's more vulnerability there, there's more like notoriety around the holidays. And, if you're already feeling like there's been a decision made,
I feel like
If you're
that's
already
a
feeling-
great response.
Yeah, that's a good one.
if you're already feeling like there's been a decision made, then you're not going to do that with this person. And that might not always be at the forefront because you don't really have to make that decision because it's not immediate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Christmas, well, now it's here, and now it's kind of like, all right, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to take him or am I not?
Right.
Oh, that's so
Yeah,
true.
it's-
I can
that's a good one.
totally relate to that. Yeah.
And
I
it's kind of
it.
like more of a family type
Well,
vibe.
Well, it's the intimacy.
Yeah,
Like that's
I
the
like how
word
you
that
said
keeps coming to
intimacy.
mind with
That's
you.
true.
It's that there's this I don't know where that kind of fits in, but sometimes I'll just pick up on a word and like try to roll with it. So I don't know if that means anything to you.
Well, it
or
does
not.
because it was an issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you say that because I don't typically bring anyone I'm dating around my family
Mm-hmm.
unless I know that I see potential for a future.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, there were a few things that I needed that didn't happen. So I'm like,
Okay.
yeah. So that makes sense to me.
I'm on board with that intimacy for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, because I was thinking, going like, no, it's like you always you're very intimate when you're with them. You can go
I
a
don't
week
think
at a
she
time or
meant,
something. No,
like,
I get
sexually.
that. No, I'm not talking about. It's not
Yeah.
intimate as far as spending time together. Like when you remember how you said no more than 2 weeks. You got to see every
Yes.
other
Yeah,
every
yeah,
other
yeah.
week or whatever. The intimacy of being together is not your problem, but maybe just like it's just more of a bigger.
Well, there's a protective thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going on. So it's just like and I said that before you even mentioned your family,
Yeah.
where it's kind of like the guard, right? There's like a
Mm-hmm.
barrier. It's like, okay, you're in, you're out. Da, 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 and she's not going to let that kind of intimacy in. Like her family is intimacy for her, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about you like you're not here, but like,
Yeah.
it's
true.
And so you're going to be protective over that, right? And look, you had that knowing already that you were tapping into, right? Some certain things didn't happen. You had some non-negotiables, but like your gut, you knew, and that's why you created that barrier. It's like, if I'm really going to like go there, like you already knew.
Right.
You already knew, and that's why you created that barrier, and you didn't have to deal with it until Christmas,
So how do you take the baby steps now in order to change? 'Cause
See,
that's
you
always
know
a-
all this is true because we've had the conversations.
But I want to know how she
true.
takes baby steps now to start chipping away at that sort of situation. Likewise, you said for me,
Well,
I know
she
my
doesn't-
anxiety flows, and now I hear it, and I'm like, dang, I got to really be cautious of that now.
Yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all have stuff. I've got stuff too, So what? So tell maybe I didn't understand the question. Like, how do you take baby steps towards
So if she
what?
so if it's a, I don't want to call it so much a pattern, but if
Pattern,
this is
yeah.
a situation that happens often where she breaks up for the holidays, how does she take a deep breath and let herself try to bring in the next person that far along?
Well, I'll say this, like it has nothing to do with the holidays. The holidays are just like a signal for her to be like, it's not about the holidays.
Yeah,
it's
good
just,
point.
this is just when she evaluates whether it's real or not for
Okay.
her. Okay. So the issue
That's a good
would
one.
be I'm entertaining something that doesn't serve me. And I know that a lot sooner and I'm not cutting it off in time.
Got it.
You're so good.
Yeah, I like this.
Yeah.
How's
I feel
your
like-
life, Jamie,
I feel
by
like
the
we
way?
need
My
to-
life? Oh my
Yeah.
God,
like we
guys, I
gotta-
should have my own show for that.
Guys, I feel like we got a session and we need to like pay her.
You know,
Right?
she's already handled my little children. I'm like, oh, well, I can, but because I do listen really well, and I try to adhere
Yes,
to
yeah.
things that when people tell me something, one of the things, like you said, when people just talk a lot of shit
Yes.
about their problems and they just want to never figure it out.
They vent
I
and
always try to
they're not
figure it
looking
out.
for a solution.
Right. Yeah.
I
like,
always try to figure out.
I
gotta pick up all the
always want to
keywords.
know how I can be better.
Right. And it never offends me. It never does anything. It just
Yeah.
makes me go, it makes me take a moment to look inside and go, wow, I got to really start, put a pin in that, start working on that.
Yeah, and look, those are great qualities, guys, but not everybody's like you.
Right.
And that's that empathetic part of you that you've got to manage because look, I'm the same way. If somebody points something out to me, like I'm going to want to take a look at it. I don't always believe them because not everybody's trying to like help you, you know what I mean? But like, I'll take a look at it. And if there's something that I need to work on and change, I really will.
Okay.
I'll do that. But
Right.
not everybody's going to do that. Some people are pointing things out to hurt you or cut you down. Some people are saying things to manipulate you or sway you one way or another. An empath never sees it that way. They will see like, oh, I wonder why they said that. Maybe I should do that differently. And it's like an empath
That's
really,
you, Chris.
right? An empath really does need to manage that part. You never need to stop being caring, loving, loyal, trustworthy. Like empathic people are the most beautiful people on this planet. You know, it is what is good in this world. But you have to manage it or
Right.
else it'll just destroy you.
But when those people say, like, say if someone says that to you,
Yeah.
I mean, like I can give an instance for myself, but like for you, if someone said something toxic to you,
Yes.
can you
Yeah.
pick it up or is it sometimes hidden so well, you know, at your level?
Different, yeah. So I have vulnerabilities as well, and I'm pretty aware of what they are. Like with your average Joe, I could pick it up really, really
Okay.
quickly. But if it's somebody that's important to me,
Yeah, I hear you. No, I hear that.
if it's somebody that's important to me, I'm gonna be like, well, maybe like it's harder for me to see it. The
Okay.
closer I have a relationship with somebody, a personal relationship with somebody, the harder it is for me to be in that knowing.
Right.
It's
to be
just
objective
harder.
about it and stuff.
I try
Right.
not to be objective.
Okay.
It's just harder for me to connect to that
Okay.
knowing. Because it clouds it because I may want that relationship or I may want to hear something. And so my own projection comes in and messes with what I would intuitively know. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of
Yes.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dealt with something like that last weekend. My little sister, my grandmother had passed away, and I didn't go to the
I'm
memorial
sorry.
because I was
Sorry
like, I don't
about
need
that.
to go. And
Yeah.
so I thought that, once again, not even listening to my own advice, I had to get my Jamie to tell me, and I was like, God damn, like this is why I always tell people, I go, you need to communicate with someone in order, because you never know if they're gonna, it's your perception. So my perception was that I'm not going. The day before, I feel guilty. Should I fly in? Da 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 da. So I called my sister that night. She didn't call me back. I'm like, oh my God, she's mad at me. So she called me the next day, that morning, and Jamie had said, my Jamie goes, Chris, she goes, just call her and ask her. And I go, yeah, why didn't I do that? Like I'm sitting here trying to rack my brain on and feeling guilty and this and that. And then all of a sudden she calls me and she goes, brother, we're good. We're fine, Chris. We're great. I'm not mad. I knew that you can come in. I was like, yeah, why did I get so worked up? And all I had to do was just pick up the phone and call you. And I tell
Do you
everyone
think you
that all the
created
time.
a story in your head?
I did, because it's like, I know myself where ever since a little kid or whatever, I, for some reason, take on a lot of guilt when I feel like when I'm not giving, or I'm not helping, or I'm not doing whatever. It's like I put a lot of pressure on myself and that pressure turns to guilt sometimes when I'm not doing what I should be doing.
Yeah, but you're doing that
Virtually just-
yourself. Why do
Exactly.
you do that to yourself?
Well, that's a whole nother thing. I have to go to Jamie and she can figure that out. But I know why. There's lots of reasons why. But, you know, and I've come to terms with, but I guess what I'm getting at, and that's another story, is that the vulnerability, sometimes you lose sight and it does get you. And that got me. And I never let stuff like that get me. But because she's my sister, she's really close to me, I was like perceiving all this stuff that she was thinking. And she's like, we're good. I told you 2 weeks ago we were good.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, why did I get that way then?
Yeah,
So-
like we all like. Plus, it was a very sensitive time too.
Right.
So you have to take that into account.
Okay.
Like you're not functioning at,
And I
where
wasn't that
right.
like, about, and that's why it started spinning that way.
Exactly. So it's just, it's a vulnerability. We're allowed to do that. But, a lot of empathic people feel, again, responsible for other people's emotions. Like when empathic people say no, set boundaries, they label it as doing something wrong or they feel bad. Those are the two things that I usually see them do.
Okay.
And, because but the thing is that what an empath is really doing, it's a form of enabling because you're really just trying to make yourself feel better. You're really engaging in this people-pleasing behavior because you're so uncomfortable with saying no.
And
It's
they're
not
avoiding
because-
conflict.
Yes.
Yes,
Which
and
I
a lot of
think-
empathic people will tell me,
Wow.
it's like,
Yeah.
I'm just such a nice person. I'm just such a nice person. And I'm like,
I don't like
yeah,
that.
maybe.
I
but
say that
like,
all the time.
I know, but here's the hardcore truth of it, though. That doesn't mean that you're a bad person, but you're not acting that way because you're a nice person. You're acting that way because you don't want somebody to dislike you. You don't want to upset somebody. And you're so uncomfortable with those emotions that you just become agreeable.
Right.
Which is not good. I think,
Right.
well, I don't want to say it's not good. I say it's not healthy.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but we all
Yeah.
again, we all have
Have our
something, and we all
issues,
have
yeah.
we all have vulnerabilities, right? And we're just kind of like talking about them, and it's just like it's always about progress. It's never about perfection. Like it's being perfect is it's unattainable, and that would be very boring, I think.
Right. Yes, it would be.
Oh my
Right.
God.
But God bless the people with that extra
Yeah.
dynamic sometimes. There's things that people are like, damn, I wish I could do that, And there's moments, like you said, we all have those moments, those
Right.
blow up moments where
Yeah.
something happens. Like I was telling a little bit earlier about on Christmas Eve where
Oh my
we had this one
God,
episode, we're
this
talking about the
guy.
holiday stuff. And I said, I went through the whole day just super patient and calm because there was a lot of weird events going on. And
Yeah.
any other day I would be like,
Just
no,
people
dude,
not being
dude.
mindful
Right.
of his space.
So
And he's
the-
so nice. He lets everyone cut him.
So
and
the
then
la-
I'm thinking, what about the people behind you?
Yeah. Oh.
Like they need to get out of
Right.
the store too.
Yeah.
Stop letting everyone cut you.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
last straw
But
was like at
he's-
the last straw when I yelled at the guy for thumbing my salmon, and I went, "You thumbed the salmon! You messed up. I want a new piece."
He picked
Like
out
that.
a piece of salmon, and when the butcher went to pick it up, he goes,
He's like,
"How's
with his
this?"
thumbs and everything.
And he goes,
Did he
"It
have
was
gloves on
good
or
until
what?
you."
No, but it was so
It's because
big,
he
yeah.
punctured the salmon, so it wasn't like
and
a
I go,
flat piece
well, it
anymore.
was a great piece until you thumbed it. I want a new piece, and all of a sudden I was like,
I feel like that
Holy
needs
shit.
to be a meme somewhere. I feel like we're onto something, guys. Don't thumb my salmon.
"Don't thumb my
go,
salmon."
Seriously, Chris? Because he put his thumb, how the fuck was he supposed to pick it up?
I don't
And he
care
goes,
at
but
that
he
moment."
dented it, so
Yeah.
it wasn't like.
And it was
I'm
it was
like,
the last
oh,
straw. It was just the
wow.
last straw.
I get it.
situation,
We all
Yeah.
have
day
those
long, it was
breaking
super
Oh my
points.
patient. Yeah,
God.
yeah. And I blow up rarely, but when my blow ups happen, it's just like a like that.
Well, it's just because you've got to get in the process of releasing throughout instead of like repressing.
Yeah.
Repression. Yeah.
Namyan Rengyo Kyo.
I love it.
Day. Oh my
my
gosh.
God. All right.
Okay, wait.
ahead.
So I have a question. We get a lot of questions. I've gotten a lot of questions from our followers about dating with kids.
Yes.
So
yeah.
is it important? Do you include the kids? Do you not include the kids? Do you keep your dating separate when you incorporate someone?
You
I'm
know,
like, I don't fucking know.
look, like I think
Like everyone's kind of different in their own approach to it, right?
Look, I think that this is something that you really have to, like, if this is a question coming from women, my number one thing is, one, do some healing work because you're going to misread things. Two, is this a person that you should really be entertaining? Like, you need to evaluate if this person is even for you before you even think about doing any kid stuff, right?
Right.
Like, because if they're not for you, why bother introducing them to the kids?
I agree.
Like, it's, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? So, and should there be a protective layering? Yeah, absolutely. Because let me tell you something about abuse and sexual abuse. Like, the number one way kids are like, well, not the number one way, but like most children are sexually assaulted by a non-related male in the home. right?
Yeah.
So like those are things that those are just stats. You can Google it. You know, I don't know the exact numbers. I know Michael Sartain would probably have that.
Right. Yes, he would know for sure. Right.
Oh my God.
But I don't have those stats. But, you know, so yes, should there be a protective covering and a barrier? 100%. Like, I don't believe in giving people the benefit of that. That's fucking crazy
Agreed.
in my opinion. Absolutely bonkers.
Like, should your kids have an opinion on who you're dating and who you're not dating?
I would not look, I would want to know if it was me, I would want my children to get along with my partner, but
Yes.
they are not going to be picking my partner.
Right.
I'll tell you that. Like, my children will not be picking the person I'm supposed to be with.
Right. Well,
Okay, I will be picking that person.
Right.
And I hope to God that they like them. But look, I'm also going to be evaluating this from a spiritual perspective for me. I'm going to pray about it 100%. I'm going to be like, God, what do you think before I go to my kids or anybody else, right? I'm going to do my healing work. I'm going to see and go out with this person to see if I actually have a connection with them, or am I just attracted to them? Like, you know, like, and really kind of see, like, can I really see myself with this person? And, you know, and if those things kind of tick the boxes, then I'll consider introducing them to my children and so on and so on. But this is something that I would do over a period of time. This is not something that I would advise anybody to rush into. You don't know these people.
Right.
You know, and how many of us were even married to people that we did not fucking know?
Right.
Right. So, like, you know, like, let's take those
Yeah.
things into account, right?
So true. And then so you mentioned healing.
Mm-hmm.
How can women identify what areas they need healing?
Well, that is a loaded question, and that would be something that I would have to talk to individually, like one-on-one. Like, I can't say generally how people can identify it, but, well, maybe I can. Let's see. Like, if
Because when you say healing, like, I know that there are plenty of areas that I require growth, where I can be better, but I don't really necessarily know where I need healing. I'm sure I do, but I'm not understanding maybe that word
like,
for me.
I'm using it in the context of relationships and finding a partner. Like, here's an example of what a lack of healing can do. Like,
Okay.
if let's say I was cheated on, okay, in a former relationship, and now I've met this amazing person, but, you know, he starts getting these texts late at night and he's starting having to work late, and I haven't healed from that past trauma, and it reminds me of when my ex did that. That's a lack of healing, right? Let's say this person didn't do anything wrong, but because of my lack of healing, I'm perceiving it in a way that might not be accurate, okay? So a lack of healing causes you to perceive things in a more critical light. A lack of healing creates a lot of hypervigilance. So it's a lot of, like, being on edge. It's a lot of very, like, hyper aware. I feel like I've got to walk on eggshells. I can't ever say do the right things. I'm over analyzing things all the time. Over analyzing things means that I don't feel safe, and I'm looking for a way to feel safe, right? If I need constant validation, if I have a degree of dependency, like, these are things that to me suggest that somebody needs some healing in their life. Everybody is going to be specific as far as probably, like, I would never, like, give somebody, like, I would always want to know somebody's story, you know, before we, like, kind of get down into the specifics of things. But I don't know.
You would have to anyways in your field, though. You'd need the whole story before you actually.
But
start
I
diving
like
in.
that. For example, I did date someone who was cheated on, and I constantly felt like I paid the price for her cheating.
Yes.
But it's probably because he didn't take the time to heal
Absolutely.
that part
If you
of
don't,
him.
Absolutely. Like, if you don't heal, and I don't think you need to have complete healing. I think healing can be a process, but, like, there does need to be a foundational point where you're like there used to be somebody's name that if I heard it, I would have, like, a surge, an emotional response. I could hear that name now and doesn't do anything. Right? Like, that's a
And
level of
such a-
healing.
I feel like I always say that to a lot of my girlfriends. I'm like, look, you're going to get to a place when that happens and you're just indifferent, and it's such a beautiful space.
Oh, it's great.
Right?
Like, when you're, like, just apathetic.
Yeah, it's just like there's no good, there's no bad, it just is.
Right.
And that's such an an
it's
amazing
almost like it
space to
never
be in.
was.
Yeah.
It feels like it never happened, and I think that is, those things suggest, healing. If you don't heal, like, you can meet the perfect partner and you won't be able to sustain it because love can't land there. Love can't land where you're not open. Like, if you haven't healed, you're going to be guarded. You're going to be protected. You're going to be all of these things, right? Well, if you look at love, right? Love's not going to be like, love is going to question that guarded and be like, well, I know, this isn't love. Like, I can't like match. That's not going to be a vibrational match, right?
How do you recognize the issue though, to save, like you just said, something that might be good? We've all had or been with someone, I'm sure, that you like, you thought it could, and by the way, it could be good. I'm proof of that. Like my current girlfriend, 4 years now, we dated 5 months back in, like, let's say 2001. Okay. She was in a residency, I was just playing around, just doing my thing. And literally, like, for the first time, I broke up with her because I didn't want to cheat, like, because she's too good of a girl and she was amazing and there's nothing wrong with this girl.
I love that.
And so I was like, look, I need to break up with you because I met someone else who might be a potential person I might want to pursue. So I need to let you go. And so I did, got married to this woman, 17 years together. Jamie and I reconnected again after that, just some way, somehow
Not me,
afterwards.
the
And
one you said
Yeah,
now.
3 Jamies. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
right.
It was meant to be.
We reconnected again, and I was just like, I will never let you go again. Like, for some reason, even through
He
the process of
went
being
back to
married,
her.
yeah. But
Did
for
you
the
think
first time
about her when you were married?
a few times, because, like I was going to say, the first time in my life, I was like, while being with someone else, I was like, did I make the right decision? Did I choose the right one? Because
Ooh,
being
so
back
she was
with her
kind
right
of in
now,
the background.
but just a quick thought, like
Yeah.
maybe 10 years, 2 years,
Okay.
whatever like that. Never like all the time or anything weird like that. But getting back with her now, it's just like, yeah, she's the one, and I feel it and know it, and it's just been an amazing ride.
See, you use words, I feel it and I know it. And see, that's so important. Like, you can't analyze that. You just, know. And I think most people do, but we've stepped so far outside of that when we're looking at relationships. And I think that, just going back to toxic relationships, we need to apply that in toxic relationships, but we don't. We entertain relationships that we know are not for us because
Yeah.
we're scared.
Right. But even when they recognize it at the beginning as well, even though they know at the beginning, what red flag, we talked about a lot of red
address
flags
the
and
behavior.
stuff.
Like,
okay.
look, like, you can look there are some blurred lines when it comes to things like this, especially at the beginning of a relationship, because toxic relationships, you're going to be looking for more of a pattern of behavior. And there's a very specific pattern that a lot of these things follow. So that can be helpful in deciding whether it's toxic or not. But look, whether it's toxic, unhealthy, abusive, whatever you want to call it, if there's any issue in your relationship that is bothering you, bring it up.
Yes.
And what you really want to pay attention to is how they respond to it.
Okay.
Are they calling you crazy? Are they saying that you're overreacting? Are they finger pointing and blaming you? Or are they, like, listening to you? Like, look, and listening doesn't mean that they have to agree with you, because your point might be batshit crazy. You don't know.
Right. It's okay to agree to disagree.
Right. But, like, are they listening to you? Are they taking your concerns into consideration? And are they making reasonable, like, adjustments? Are they behaving in a way that, like, is more in line? And I have to, this is operating under, like, we have to assume that what this person is requesting is reasonable and healthy. Right? That they're not being like, I need you to buy me 500 flowers today. Right. Show me that you love me. And if you don't, you don't love me because you're not meeting my needs. Like, that's not the kind of shit we're talking about, guys. Like, it's just like, it's say like I'd like to hear from you more. That's something that I hear a lot of women talk about. I'd like to hear from you more. Well, just say that and see if you hear from them more.
And if you don't,
look, if you don't, ask why. Like, is there a good there might be a good reason why.
Right.
Like, maybe something came up. Maybe he's just having a bad day.
Right.
But can he talk to you about it? Can you work through it? And does that persist? Is it a pattern, right? And that's how you kind of work through things like that.
But that person that's feeling that,
Yes.
does he or she need to bring it up, like you said? Because I feel like
Yes.
if you go in that perceptive downward spiral in that hole, you just all of a sudden now you're kind of quiet, or you don't, or you're just overreactive. And the other person's like, where the fuck is this coming from?
Absolutely. That's how a lot of miscommunication happens, because we make assumptions and we don't address things. And most people are very passive aggressive. It's like, well, it would have been nice if you would have done the dishes.
Oh, yeah.
Shit like that. It's just like, just fucking ask him to do the dishes.
Right.
Like,
Thank
fine.
you. Yeah.
It's like not that big of a deal.
Right.
Well,
How do they? Yeah, let's see. I still want to know like how people change. And by the way, speaking of change, this is going back to something at the beginning. Are they willingly on their own coming into you on their own, say, look, I have these issues, I need to work on them, and obviously it's over talking with their partner or trying to make it better. But is it usually the toxic person coming in, or is it usually the one that's feeling the rebuttal of that toxic person?
Well, I don't know, because I usually like, unless I'm doing like I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Like what I will do is I will just say like, well, here's your shit.
Yeah.
Would you like to work on it?
Right.
Because
so you can typically identify it after a few sessions and be like, look.
I can usually identify it like right away.
Okay.
But and there might be more that becomes unveiled like as I go on. But like usually like I will do weird things with, I don't even know if what I do is therapy at this point, because I'll just kind of sense things or feel things like that word that I had with
like
you.
you did
like,
with me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's that's how
I feel like you have an intuition.
Well, that's
you
your
definitely
double B with being an empath
like
and
when
stuff
I
like
met
that.
her. We met her at when we did our location for our followers and listeners. We met her on location when we were doing our podcast. And when I met you, I was immediately drawn to you. Like I didn't know what you did, or I mean, she's beautiful, so of course I wanted to like come up to her.
Should I read her intro again?
But-
Oh my God, I'm never leaving if you do that. I'm just going to stay here all day long, just have it on repeat.
But I was so attracted to your energy, and I feel like you do have a gift.
Thank you.
Like an intuition.
Thank you.
So I would encourage like any and everyone to come see you.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. I just got goosebumps when you said that. I know. I really like, it's nice to be ministered to, because and to hear something like that, like your intro and what you just said. So that helps fill me up too. And so I really appreciate you saying that. If I, going back to your example, like if I had somebody in my office, look, I don't shy away from talking about what somebody is bringing into the room, right? And what their stuff is. Is it toxic? Is it unhealthy? Yeah, like a lot of it is, but that doesn't mean that they're necessarily a toxic or abusive person,
of course.
right? Again, abuse, more looking for like a pattern, persistent, and some other things that can go on, with that. And then, if they're talking about their relationships, which usually they are, right? They're usually talking about relationships. I will point out patterns or things that I can pick up on and be like, well, that's not very healthy. Like going back to that earlier example with that woman, there were specific things that he was doing that were not very healthy, and we were talking about that. There were also things that she was doing that were not very healthy, and we were talking about that. So it's not just one or the other. It's kind of just a mix of whatever. And I don't really try to. I just kind of say what I'm picking up on.
Okay. And like you said, they have to figure it out at that point.
And you feel like it's an intuition that
I think
you pick up on, like an energy?
I think it's God, honestly.
Well,
I think
I I'm with you.
I very much am a praying person. My relationship with God is super important to me, and I don't think that I would be able to do this without that kind of guidance.
So yeah, she's very in tune.
Yeah, I love that. Let's run just one more tidbit. Can we run into a narcissistic person, by the way?
Oh yeah, my fave.
Are they willing to give up their own? And by the way, we need to have her back, because there's an episode that I have. It's my own personal dark side that I have that I always wanted to kind of explore and figure out why I don't. But anyways, not now. But but I want to know, like I said, do you feel like a narcissistic person? Because obviously they know they are. I feel like a lot. Okay, so I was going to say
Not
a lot
always.
of controlling people. They have to know some sense of what they're doing all the time.
Well, look, like this is a very broad topic, and this is something that wow. I mean, you're opening up the rabbit hole with this. Look, just very generally, and I'm not going to get into too much detail just for time's sake, but this is a very complex thing. And a lot of what I'm hearing right now is they're narcissists. Like, no, they're fucking not. They probably just don't like you, or they're just being an asshole.
I hear that all the time, and I get frustrated.
I get frustrated too.
That's a good point.
I do. Look, like there's a difference between somebody being a narcissist and somebody just being a dick. Right? Like, and everybody that's ever gotten their heart broken, they're labeling that person as a narcissist. Now, maybe they are,
Yes.
but narcissism is a spectrum disorder, which means that, like, in my opinion, we have narcissists, we have empath, right? And so we all kind of fall somewhere along these categories. Like, we might be more on the empathic side, but maybe we have some more narcissistic traits, right? And then, you have maybe some empathic traits. Like, even Ted Bundy was nice sometimes.
Good
That's
point.
what
Not
I
really,
always
like,
say. That's
he didn't
got
get those.
their-
He didn't get the girls in the car. He
That's
had
a
a
very good
relationship.
point.
Like
That's what I said.
he wasn't a
He
dick
was
all the
charming.
time. Exactly, but that's part of a narcissistic trait too. So, but like we had. Charm is a narcissistic trait, but like, so when I say that he was nice, he had a relationship. He was able to express some compassion and maintain a certain level of care, right?
Mm-hmm.
So not everybody is all bad, not even narcissists, you know? So we all have narcissistic traits and tendencies. So to what degree kind of depends on whether you actually, in my opinion, would be a narcissist or not. And being a narcissist is still different than somebody being diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder.
I didn't even know that was a disorder.
It is a disorder, and that is different than being a narcissist. I'm not gonna somebody with NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, has all the narcissistic traits, but they recognize that it causes a problem or an impairment in their life. Okay.
Interesting.
Either socially, occupationally, or relationally.
Like they're aware of it, basically, is what you're saying.
They know that it causes a problem.
Okay.
They don't necessarily think it's a problem, though.
Gotcha.
Okay. But they can recognize that, this is really pissing my girlfriend off. I'm going to go to counseling. Okay. So maybe something like that. Somebody that is a narcissist, some can be aware, but most are not aware. Most are not aware that they are narcissistic. And it is a really very sadistic thing when you kind of get into it and you really understand narcissistic supply and how they view you. I don't know how much of that you want me to go into. It's a dark world.
I'm sure it is. There's a lot on that.
Yeah.
I just because you said there's so many different avenues.
My jam.
To go.
I did a podcast with Michael Sartain on it, so there's more detail there if you
want to dive in.
Yeah,
I love how
go
you
down
said,
the rabbit hole.
Well, like I said, we'll bring her back for one because I want to talk about that more.
So, are you taking new clients? Like, where can we find you?
Yes. So,
do you do anything over the phone?
Yeah. So right now I'm only doing telehealth.
I love that.
Right. Yeah. And so I'm building up my own practice. I am accepting a few new clients on Fridays. You can email or you can DM me on my IG, and I take clients that way. Or you can find
four
me
underscore people.
Four.
And we'll put her handle up there for you to find her.
Because 2 and 3 were taken.
Jamie Lynn 4.
And and I am accepting new clients. Narcissism is really what I specialize in, and relationships and healing. Of course, I do all the run-of-the-mill stuff, but the other stuff is what really gets me going. So,
I love that.
faves.
I'm laughing, right? Sorry, I'm laughing when you said, I'm sorry, that person just being an asshole or a dick because they just don't like you.
It's so true, though.
Yeah.
I feel like people use that as I just get so tired of hearing it. It's almost like exhausting.
Like they just throw it out there like that. Yeah.
And then
my girlfriend says she goes,
is he really though?
Right, probably just like you said, being an asshole. My girlfriend goes, one thing about you, Chris, you're the nicest guy, but you have just a little bit of an asshole and a dick in you that I really like about.
Yeah.
You can be a dick sometimes. I go, it's just that little side of me that comes out every now and then. But we all have that. Once again, just one little things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like that though. That's funny. All right. Anything else we want to ask this lovely lady? She's amazing.
I could go on forever, but I feel like we ran a little behind. So I wanted to thank you for hanging out and your time is valuable.
I really
Absolutely.
appreciate your knowledge and just your approach more than anything else. I love your approach with the empath and how you're discussing all this. It's just, I hear it all. So,
Well, thank you guys so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
All right. So we know where to find her on Instagram. We know where to find her. Please give her a call if you guys need anything because we all need something. I'm like probably trying to get an appointment myself.
Yeah. And then do we have a question of the day?
I do, but I don't have it prepared because it's going to take a while to find it. And I was up.
And I stole your paperwork.
Yeah, so I have an issue of getting up the question of the day on
it.
time, and there's moments where I have everything usually on paper. This is the first time I have my phone in front of me, so I'm not used to navigating from this to going to a question.
I'm pen and paper.
We're getting better. I always have to be like.
I cannot. This technology thing, I cannot deal. I'm like, no.
I still have like a old school planner, and when you're talking, do you ever talk in person with people?
I do. Yeah.
Do you doodle when you talk or no?
I don't want to say.
Oh, okay.
Just kidding. No, of course. Yeah. Who doesn't doesn't doodle. No.
He doesn't. I do. I'm always like,
I doodle. I'm listening. I doodle listen.
what the hell?
So
No, I'm just
this one sees a squirrel all the time. Like, squirrel.
I know. I get so sidetracked. So out of nowhere.
I have to share one thing because this is a long going thing with us as well. And I did this the other day where now she put in my head where it's like we were having a discussion. One time she goes, out of the blue, when you drop a piece of ice on the ground, do you pick it up or do you kick it?
No, I just wanted to. I don't know why it came to me, but I was like, okay, ice dropped in the kitchen. Do you kick it under the fridge or do you pick it up? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, hey, I just want to know.
Well, I actually do kind of want to know. Yeah. So what is it?
No, I pick it up, but now
like, what do you do?
No.
I'm trying to actually think. No. I feel like I would pick it up because I would think that the water under the fridge would bother me.
That's what I said.
And I would think mold.
Okay,
that's
right.
probably yes. I would think like that water is just going to sit there and then it's going to get into my tile and then that's where my brain would go.
Oh my
God. This question, by the way, now that I've asked people this, it tells a lot about a person now. Yeah. So you are a clean, neat person as well.
I am.
This is a good thing.
I very much am. Yeah.
You ask people my question.
I know. I all the time now because every time I drop ice, I giggle and laugh. So I go. I always bring it up. But I also realize it's like it's a good question on who they are as a person.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
you're
what
very
if you're
clean and you're neat free.
I mean, I have kicked the ice cube before, and I'm like, I'm not fucking.
But I don't do that in my
today.
house, though. I don't do it in my house. I will kick ice all day, not in my own home. But in my own home, I will be. Oh, got to pick that up.
Yeah.
If it's your home, I'm kicking. I'm kicking that shit under the fridge. I don't care.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. All right, guys. Jamie Lynn, thank you so much for being on our show today. You're amazing.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you back
you.
again. I'm sure we're going to see you again in the future. And anything that you ever need from us, please don't hesitate to ask.
No, thank you guys
we will
so
promote
much.
you
And I love that you're here too. So
yes, yeah, local.
I love your hair too. Oh, you said here.
You're here.
I know.
What the hell?
I love her hair.
I love her hair.
I'm just putting a little segue on that one. All right, but yeah, Jamie, please tell where everyone can find you and what's going on.
Jamie Villamore. So Jamie_Villamore. And then check out Microtech. And then, like I said, we're excited about SHOT Show. We have some exciting guests. So if you have any questions, let us know.
Yes,
Feel
please.
free to reach out. And
Yeah, I'm excited. You're one of our first releases for the new 2022
Yeah.
season.
Yeah? Hey.
So we got a good start to this, people.
I love it.
All right, guys, and you can find me at Christopher@dating-intelligence.com or on our social media stuff, anything dating intelligence. So please check us out and please DM us any questions or any photos or whatever you need to know. If you want to like and talk about the guests, please do anything you want. So, all right, that's us.
All right.
All right, we're out.